All right. Good morning. And welcome to Israel. My name is Assaf, Luxembourg, and we have an hour, and I'm super happy to open this program. So first of all, if I'm speaking English too fast, please let me know. I promise not to pay attention and keep talking. That's number one. Number two, I'm sorry for the screwed up resolution, but that's what we have. But at least in my photos, I'll be thinner and skinnier, so there's that. So I'm super happy to open this program, and I'm honored to be here today. I'm first speaker, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Great. So you're only going to go up from here. Here's what we're going to do in the next hour. So I'm going to present myself in a nutshell. So that'll be chapter 1. I want to get to know you a little bit, tell you guys a little bit about my background, and why the hell am I speaking to you about Startup Nation. Then what I want to do is talk about this very, very briefly, because obviously you know a thing or two about it, and you're going to know much more in a week. So this is not a seminar. I'm not here to teach. I'm here to kind of open your mind and give you some things to think about. Which brings me to the most important chapter, which is chapter number 3. So I want to go with you straight to the bottom line. What is the bottom line of the story? What is the real secret behind many of the things that you're going to see in the coming week? Not only high-tech and startups. So what is the real common denominator, the real secret? So I'm going to give you my thoughts and my idea. And then I'm going to summarize this, give you a few tips for the rest of the program, and send you away. How does that sound as a plan? Perfect. Great, I'm happy you like it because there's no alternative. That's what we're doing. So who am I? My name is Assaf Luxembourg. I am 32 years old, born and raised in Israel, not here in Tel Aviv, actually far, far away in the suburbs, in a northern suburb of Tel Aviv called Herzliya. Far away, meaning 10 minutes drive from here. So you're going to see that perspectives in Israel are different. So I grew up in Herzliya, which is a northern suburb of Tel Aviv. I'll tell you guys a little bit about my background. But basically, I'm very passionate about two things. So I'm super passionate about showing the real Israel to the world and representing my country, among other things. I wasn't always like this. So some 400,000 years ago, when I was younger, I cared about different things, like these. Anybody here's a musician? So I was a musician once. I played computers and synthesizers and all that stuff. Back in those times in Israel, people thought it's cool to do hip-hop in Hebrew. And I was in high school. Some of them were in my high school, and I was their producer. So I was cool once, but not anymore. So that's a little bit about my background. At the age of 22, 400,000 years ago, I had like a personal eureka moment, and I figured out that this is nice, but that's what you're going to do, Assaf, when you'll be 25, let alone 45 or 65. And he died that day. And I understood that I do really care about these things, especially showing people the real side, the real face of my country, representing my country abroad. So I'm young and stupid. I'm after my army service before the university. And I'm thinking, if you want to get a job representing your country, what should you go and do? Like, who gets paid to represent their country? Like, it's their job. And I thought, okay, which people represent their countries officially? Diplomats, right? Other ideas?
Soccer players.
Soccer players, okay, they represent their agencies. Some people say politicians, but then politicians represent only themselves. So yeah, diplomats. And I said, Assaf, you're not this guy. You should go and be a diplomat, an ambassador. So I'm young and stupid, and I need to plan my future. And I say, okay, you need to go study the relevant things. So I went and studied political science and economics. I'm an economist by profession. I studied not in Herzliya, which is far away, 10 minutes from here. I studied in Jerusalem, which is really the other side of this country. 45 minutes drive from here. Yeah. So that's what I studied. And I knew back then what you probably know now, that your grades and your GPA is, these are important things, but practical experience matters much more today, right? Like the internships and the people you met and your skills they matter no less than your grades. And it was true also back in the time before time, 400,000 years ago when I was there. So I went and worked for organizations that I cared about, that are relevant for me to become an ambassador. That's right, because that's what I wanted to do. Here's what happened. I'm 25, I'm working for the Israeli government, and since then and on until today, Assaf, you're an economist, and we're bringing a group of business people or investors or entrepreneurs. Could you come and maybe give them like an intro talk about the Israeli economy? Could you come and maybe give them some business tips about how to really find the right opportunities here? Could you come and moderate this conference? Could you come and help us as a consultant? Because you know how to talk about this place. You know how to really squeeze the bottom lines and give practical tips. And I said, sure, I'm going to do it for free, as much as I can. You know why? Because I'm young and stupid, but I know who I want to be. And these things, even more than the jobs and more than the grades, this is the best experience I could have if I want to be an ambassador. As you can already see from the way I'm presenting myself, I am not an ambassador. That's the number one that I learned in life, and you probably already know. Many times in our lives, we plan, then he, she, or it, they laugh, and then we cry. Happened to me. I was a big cry. I kind of lost my destiny in life, kind of thing, before I was 30. So that's for the crying part. Here's for the laughing part. This whole gig that I did for free apparently became my business. I never wanted to be a one-man consulting firm, a solo entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship was not meaningful to me as a choice of profession. It was never really itching for me to be my own boss. I actually like working for big organizations, but that's the way I found of making the meaning that was important for me to make. So being an ambassador was not the end game, it was how can you do what you want to do. And if this tool doesn't work, here's a different tool, which is a very entrepreneurial, dynamic, startup-ish way of thinking. So that's how I started my business, and it's a business for the past 4 years. Also, Assaf, at the age of 22, do you think you'll ever be a CEO of a young startup? And I'll say, no, I'm going to be an ambassador. But I get to work with cool companies. By the way, these are not clients, these are friends of mine. And that's how I got to be a CEO of a startup. And that's what I did for the past 3 years. That was not my plan, but it happened. And I joined CrowdMe because I believe in what we're doing. And it's part of the things that I'm passionate about and that I'm willing to devote my professional career to. So there's that. Today, I'm part of the Barclays Accelerator, which is operated by Techstars, which actually started this week in Tel Aviv, the class of 2017. So I'm a business associate over there. You're actually going to visit where we're sitting later on. It's called The Rise. So we're going to be there like around noon, I think. So we may meet again soon.